Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation, where we uncover what it really takes to lead change, create value, and build what's next. I'm JL Heather, one of the co founders of Centered, where we help organizations navigate complexity, spark creativity, and unlock the full potential of their teams through innovation coaching and strategy. Today's guest is one I'm excited about. He brings a rare mix of technical excellence, creative grit, and human first leadership. We're joined by Giorgio Natili. Think I butchered the last name there, Giorgio. You want to help me out real quick to make sure I get it right?
It's not easy, but it's
Natili.
okay. No worries.
There we go. Giorgio Natili. This is the spice that just amuses people and keeps them listening, right? Giorgio is the vice president and head of engineering at Opaque Systems, where he's pioneering AI platforms that protect sensitive data while unlocking breakthrough innovation. He's a former professional windsurfer, of all things, turned engineering leader. Giorgio has led teams at Amazon, Mozilla, and Capital One. Giorgio is also an accomplished author. He's co-authored a book that just came out, I think, The AI Advantage, Thriving Within Civilization's Next Big Disruption. And he's about to publish The Imperfect Life of an Engineering Manager, which is a book that challenges leaders to embrace vulnerability, imperfection, and experimentation. From mentoring entrepreneurs at MIT to building VR tools for medical care, Giorgio is on a mission to use tech for good, and he's here to talk about what fearless leadership really looks like. Giorgio, I'm excited about the conversation. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited as well.
So, maybe the best place to start off, because I don't think any podcast can actually go live if it doesn't talk about AI. Your current book, The AI Advantage, maybe give us some insights from what's there. I know you said you had your favorite chapter, Engineering the Future, AI Privacy, and the Rise of an Agent-Driven Economy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm definitely biased because that's the chapter that I wrote. And I think it's an interesting chapter because it emphasizes the importance of bringing privacy, data sovereignty, and digital dignity by design at the beginning of every system or every agentic system. Privacy and data sovereignty is essential, specifically right now that that AI is everywhere. But when you deal with an agentic system, if the agents are not owned by the single entity, that is never the case, almost never the case, then the real challenging question is what is happening to your data, how your data get managed. And that's what I focused on into that chapter. But the book is rich of many interesting chapters. We are 32, if I remember right. And we have topics that go from how to prevail in the age of AI up to empowering through AI, how AI should be a tool that supercharge humans, that expand our abilities and not a replacement of these of any human being. How AI can be used in cybersecurity in pretty obvious fields like navigating the enterprise planning, resource budgeting, and all these things. So it's an overall book that has a pretty decent coverage. Chapters are small enough to be digestible with a good coffee, meaning they are between 10, 12 pages, 13 pages. So you can really get one chapter per day with your coffee, and you can move around the book as you wish, as you are interested. And all the authors are great. I know personally few of them, and it was a really nice journey.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I think, this idea about AI, especially when you think about privacy, I think most people look at AI and privacy at a personal level. I tend to think about it more at an organizational level. If you aren't doing a good job implementing your own AI systems, a lot of what you're doing is training a different AI system on your approach, on your proprietary data, on whatever it is you're giving it. So I'm curious, as you look into the future for this, especially with this agent-driven economy, is that what you see as organizations, rather than using ChatGPT, coming up with their own proprietary systems that they own and that they control?
Well, I think that for many organizations, it's impractical to build their own LLM or their own in general, because it requires a lot of resources from a competition standpoint, a lot of people, a lot of specialized engineers, scientists, researchers, and it takes time. Also, if you have the money and you want to start, it will take at least, I'd say, a couple of years, 3 years. And I'm very optimistic, but I'm looking at what DeepSeek did with their model. So the point I'm making is that rather than building your own model, it's refining the machinery around the model, an existing model, and making it your own, For instance, you can implement your own RAG strategy, RAG systems. You can engineering the context window and start to have scratch pads, memories, short-term and long-term memories to which an agent can go back in time when the context window is getting fully filled out. And the other thing that you can do is building guardrails around it. There are several technologies. One that I'm familiar with, it's Nemo guardrails that are from NVIDIA. It's a way to guardrail the input, the output, and also where the data are going through a meta language. So not necessarily simple, but neither extremely complicated. So in my opinion, to preserve privacy at the corporate level, you have to understand exactly what you need from an LLM and see if you can build the boundaries around it and leveraging something that is available with a paid subscription, with APIs, or free. The open source community is pretty active on models, and Llama 3 is a great model. There are many other risks if you embrace open source, but definitely it's a path that is worth being explored. And privacy must be there by design and must be part of your system design and also of your company strategy. What we call shadow AI, that is the AI that employees are using without accessing a corporate account, is dangerous. It's dangerous because you might lose data. Employees might use a free version of whatever AI model that gives basically most of the time the authority to use your data to train another model. So start with that. Start enabling your team, pick a tool, try one, and then if it doesn't work well for everybody, activate a second subscription. I think that that's the first basic step that every business should do, also the smallest business in the world. And the second is, again, if you really need to power your software, your systems, your processes with AI, having a wider conversation about how to surround an existing model with all the things that we just discussed.
Well, I like what you're saying is like, go ahead and try something, understanding that it may not work. Like, don't shoot for perfection right out of the gate, which I think is a great segue into your second book, the one that's coming out, The Imperfect Life of an Engineering Manager, because it starts to bring into the question, why is imperfection so important to great leadership? We know why it is for innovation, like perfection kills innovation. But when we start that turning that focus to leadership, why is imperfection so essential?
It is essential in many aspects. First of all, if you simply think from a planning standpoint, if you focus on building the perfect plan, you lose the momentum on the market. Your plan is also the perfect one, is obsolete as soon as you start executing it, because from theory to practice, there is a variation. It's a little bit like in software architecture. Things that work on paper rarely fully work in an implementation. So
Absolutely.
step back and start thinking about your plan as a tool that is a North Star, and then work around it and try to log and understand what are the decision points that you're making to diverge from that plan. So this is embracing imperfection for real. But think about if you want to simply manage people. There is not a perfect way to communicate with everybody. Accept it. Focus on tailoring a one-on-one communication with people in such a way that you can understand better your organization and acknowledge that you're not there to be perfect and that you don't want any perfection, and communicate to the best of your intent, creating avenues for getting feedback. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have to be respectful, inclusive, and so on, but if people understand that your intentions are genuine and they have a way to give you feedback, if you then accept whatever feedback is coming, you can then improve still without being perfect. And even more, whatever company decision you make, it's rare, very rare that there are one-way door decisions, meaning if we take, one can be LLM, right? Building versus, but actually it's a two-way door decision. Building versus leveraging something that is open source. It's still a two-way door decision, but there are some decisions that are really hard to undo. But until a decision is undoable, meaning that you can decide to step back and take a different route, just make the decision. Embrace the fact that you may be right or wrong. Define your metrics so you understand your boundaries and you get early signal if you're wrong. And pivot to the right direction. Now, also this, to an extreme, can become randomization, No, you must have a strategy. That's why it's important embracing imperfection with a grain of salt and thinking that imperfection is the tool that will bring you to excellence. Perfection is the tool that will kill whatever initiatives you're running.
Absolutely. And a lot of what you're saying, if I'm hearing it right, is well, maybe there are two things that I'm hearing. One, being open about how imperfection is okay makes feedback easier, which is a really powerful tool within organizations. And then two, imperfection is a path to rapid learning. You are running experiments constantly that you know have a chance of failure, and you accept that so you can learn from it. And favorite quote that I quote all the time, Winston Churchill: "Success is not final, failure is not fatal." No one thing you do is either going to make or break you. So doing a lot of little things lets you learn. So I like a lot of what you're saying. I think maybe given your experience at companies like Mozilla, Capital One, now Opaque, when you look at these engineering cultures that are consistently innovating, what are the things that you see? What are the traits that make that possible and successful?
As we started, there is not a perfect answer to this question.
Only imperfect, which is exactly right.
And because every different culture, every different company varies and create a different ecosystem where people can be excelling or can be suffering and so on. So there is not really the magic, the silver bullet here. But my rule of thumb is, first of all, create space for innovation. There are very simple things that you can do as a leader. Just run a couple of hackathons per year, time box them, give them a topic, give them a subject where you want to experiment, and are you already building a tiny bit of a culture of innovation? The second thing is challenge the plans that your team is building and ask always, okay, what is the plan B? If plan A fails, you're doing two great business goals. First of all, you're creating an alternative path. But second, you're asking them to think differently and innovatively about how to solve a problem. And that's again a culture that foster innovation because you're making room to think differently on a daily basis. The other thing is active listening, where active listening doesn't mean repeating to people what they just told you, but truly try to understand, ask questions, admit your ignorance when you don't know a topic, and try to grasp the best that you can from people. They will appreciate that. And feedback that I already mentioned is essential. Feedback must be a two-way door, feedback. It's not that if you are leading a team, you are the one that approve or deny something. Be a learner, a continuous learner. Try to give feedback in a very positive way. Use anecdotes, use your experience to help them realizing problem and thinking different about a problem, and never use your experience like, oh, I tried that in the past and it failed. It's not that's not fostering any innovation and any positive culture inside your team.
Yeah, I think maybe 6 words that are maybe the most powerful words a leader can use in situations like that are, I don't know, let's find out.
Yes. Or tell me in your experience, how we should solve, or in your opinion, how we should solve this problem. One question that I use very often, and I don't understand why since many years still work, is imagine to have a magic wand.
Hmm.
What you would change in this decision right now and why? My God, it works every time. People just get curious, excited, and say, okay, I have a magic wand. I can say whatever, right? And these trigger many conversations. Recently, I had a conversation about a multi-model approach. We started discussing about implementing a model, then we moved to RAG, fine-tuning, we went into an agent-driven conversation. And this was really an unstructured conversation that started by putting out a topic, listening. I got new ideas by listening. I shared my ideas. I then took back some of my ideas. And at the end, it became a pretty positive conversation with which I'm most likely addressing with a different approach a problem. That means that you are innovating.
No, I think that sort of stuff is common when leaders can actually adopt some of these practices. I do think a lot of leaders lead from a place of fear, whether that's imposter syndrome or just they don't know and they feel like they have to, all these different things. And they creates a certain amount of pressure. So given that, like what's one thing you wish more engineering leaders would talk about openly that they don't right now?
Well, I wish that any kind of leadership in any field start to be more humble and start to think that being a leader doesn't mean be the one that is in front of the pack and give the direction, but means to be the one that is on the back of the pack and protect and shield the team from risks, problems, unexpected issues from the back. Because your team, if you hired the right people, it's the one that is expert, not you. And second, if you hire somebody, don't hire somebody with the idea of proving the person out. You have the interview process. If you are not sure, don't hire. If you hire, bring somebody on board that you trust and give them trust. You may be right, you may be wrong, but if you are a good quote unquote leader, because you're not on the front, on the back, you will understand if you're right and you will build your muscles. So be humble, trust your people. Don't use this trust and verify. Oh my God, really? Then it's not trust. If I trust you, okay, so you're doing this wonderful dish for me. It tastes good. Let me go and check the ingredients that you use. Really? You can ask, but you don't have to verify. It's trust and learn. That's the switch. Because when you trust people, they will make 100 things. Maybe 10 will be wrong, 90 right. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that you build safe boundaries to make them feeling and learn together. That's what I really want to see leadership start doing more actively.
No, I love that. I think maybe it's Warren Buffett. Steve Jobs said something similar. So love them, hate them, whatever you think. It's along lines of hire really smart people and then get out of their way. I think that's the only path to leaders that don't burn out and organizations that can scale.
Yes. And if you are capable of hiring great people, you not only can scale, but you really can be the first one to benefit from a team that is helping each other, building, innovate, cross the line when it's needed. And you see that is fantastic. It's when you leave and your team can exist, then you build the right people. You brought in the right people. And again, there is nothing wrong in being wrong. It happened to me to have to let some people go. But if you do it with the right motivation, the right empathy, the right level of constructive feedback, it will become a good experience for them and an experience that will build them up.
Not necessarily a painless one, but at least a positive one.
Yes.
So, Giorgio, we do have to wrap up. We're hitting that time limit. I could keep going for an hour, which seems to always be the case on the show. But before we do wrap up, what is the best way if people are looking for some support, maybe some mentoring? What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
First of all, you can use LinkedIn. I am pretty active and I look at my messages over there. And by the time the show will be live, we should have online giorgionatili.com. That will be a website with contact information, a form to engage me as a mentor, as a speaker, or just to look at what I'm publishing here and there. And when I talk also about my side gigs or my side passions.
It's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing that go live. Giorgio, thank you so much for the time today. It's been a really engaging discussion, and these are topics I'm pretty passionate about, so I've enjoyed every minute of it. For everyone else who's listened all the way to the end, go ahead and leave that 5-star review. It helps us out a lot. If you know anyone that is struggling with some of the leadership vulnerability and imperfection that we've been talking about today, introduce them to Giorgio through this episode and share the wealth. And then lastly, leave us a comment. Let us know what you're struggling with. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you if you're open to that. Giorgio, thank you again. This has been fantastic. For everyone else, we'll see you all next time on Breakthrough Innovation.
Thank you.